we're live today with Hobbycraft and Knitcraft. I'm Katie, and if you've got any questions for me, just shoot them in the comments and we'll hopefully get around to them afterwards. But I'm going to say a little bit about me and the new collection that I've just done with Knitcraft. So I am a knit and crochet designer. I technically studied 7 years in knitwear, which is quite a long time. And I went to Central St Martin's, and when I left I started my own brand. I didn't really mean to. I sort of fell into it, but I started loving crochet and knit when I was a little girl. I had a kind of amazing old lady for each skill. My nan was a really, really brilliant crocheter. My gran was a fabulous knitter. This is in fact one of hers, a good acrylic doing strong about 50 years on. And my great aunt was a sewer. So I learnt when I was really, really small, and then I sort of stopped. And my mum kind of picked it up again when I was about 16. And I got obsessed. And I started knitting, and I didn't stop. But I only got into crochet sort of 3 years into my course. I was interning at Diane von Furstenberg, and we had to learn in a basement. And I could do one fan stitch that my nan had taught me. And this actually then changed everything, and I changed all my work to crochet because I just loved it so much. And I've never stopped and kept going. And so I finished my degree and my master's, and I sort of fell into having my own brand. And it's sort of been a crazy whirlwind ever since, really. I sort of became a sustainable designer by accident because I sort of used my gran's kind of mentality of make, do and mend. So I would use people's old stuff and any kind of yarn I could get my hands on to make stuff. And I started fixing people's jumpers and embroidering them and crocheting. And it just seemed to go really well, and a boom when sustainable design was kind of on the rise. And so that's kind of how I kind of got into being a designer. But recently I've changed, and I love doing patterns. My brand, we do a lot of workshops and a lot of patterns. And so this is why then I've teamed up with Knitcraft, and we've brought you my first official range of patterns, which I can demo over here. So I was using the cotton blend yarn, which is a fab yarn. It's really, really, really soft. The colours were brilliant, and the guy showed me the colour range, and that completely sparked the whole collection for me. So the collection is called Miami Memphis. I can dig out a bit of my sketchbook so you can see sort of what I was looking at. Miami Art Deco, like the buildings, was a really, really massive inspiration for it. And also Memphis is like a style of 80s art, and it's just really bright, really poppy. And it was just such a draw for me, really, really graphic. And so this was like a really, really fun project where I got to work on a kind of zinged up version of a granny square and what you could do with that. So I hope you like it, but I could go through some of the bits. So we started off with the blankets. I'm going to smother myself, if you can see. And I just wanted something really, really, really bright and really graphic and really fun, because I just wanted to do a real modern twist on the granny square. The granny square is one of my favourites. And I just, yeah. And the colours were just lush. And then we turned this into a cushion to go with it, and then a couple of little bubba pieces, which is making me incredibly broody, much to my husband's panic. But we did this really, really cute romper, which I'm really tempted to adult size for festival season. I think that'll be a personal project. And we did this little cardigan, which is like one of my favourite styles of jumper and like quite a signature for my brand, but in a mini version, so it's super cute. And yeah, it was just a really, really fun project. So I hope you guys are enjoying your patterns. So I think we're going to do some questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. What have we got, Emily? Hit me with the questions.
So we've got Roxy on Instagram, and she says, I would like to learn how to knit or crochet. I've tried before but failed. What advice would you give to a beginner who would love to learn?
I think, when you first learn to knit and crochet, it's quite slow at beginning. feels really, really alien. Your hands aren't used to it. I mean, YouTube is really, really great tool once you've got into it, but I always really suggest that actually when you first learn, go to a class, even if it's a small class, taster, or like corner a friend that can do it, bully them into showing you. But when you first learn, especially with crochet, I always say, once you get the chain, go home, put some kind of naff thing on TV where you can like half concentrate, half not. Do the chain and literally do the chain for like 2 hours. Make yourself the longest ravelly piece of chain. But once your hands become autopilot, it's so much easier to get to the next step. But sometimes it just helps for someone to show you that first bit. And then it's just practice really. Start with a small project. Like something like a granny square blanket is a perfect starter project because you can do individual bits. They don't take too long. You can kind of work on it slowly. And then you'll find that once your tension evens out, it all gets easier from there. I promise. Stick with it.
And then we've got Emma from Instagram as well. She said, what project would you suggest to get started at crochet?
Sort of the same. But I think a granny square blanket is really, really great. But also, if you can use like some really, really chunky yarn or make yourself a scarf, it doesn't have to be massive. But chunky yarn is great for a bit of instant gratification because when you're first starting, and I think quite a lot of times, it takes a while to get into it when you're first starting and you can't see it growing. And if you're using a tiny yarn and it's then there's nothing worse. So a chunky yarn and like a scarf project or anything where you it's very, very repetitive, because the main thing with crochet is that your tension evens out. So kind of even like a block double crochet scarf or a treble scarf will just help that, and then everything after that is easy, hopefully. Okay, bye guys, thank you so much for joining us live today, and good luck and enjoy your patterns.